All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome back. Really happy you could join us. I'm Jonathan Baker, the Senior Director of Education with TIA, and this is the TIA live stream and podcast. If you didn't know, you could go out and get that at Apple and Spotify after we're done. We're also coming to you live on LinkedIn and YouTube. Whether you're watching live or catching the replay, we're happy that you're here with us. Drop your name and company in the comments. We'd love to know who's tuning in and where you're joining from. Today's conversation is one we've been looking forward to for a little bit. We finally got Brad, Dave, and John here together to share some insights with you on pricing strategies, capacity pressures, those types of things. But first, we always have to do a little bit of housekeeping. So the first thing we run through is the antitrust statement. So discussion, comments, and presentations during TI functions must not, one, refer to any past, present, or future rates, prices, or anything related thereto. 2, include any marketing strategies. 3, include any discussion of boycotts of any person, product, or firm. Or 4, inhibit any members' employees from discussing employment with other member companies. Things you hear during the meeting that are confidential and private to TIA should not be shared publicly without its prior consent or used against or in competition with TIA. If the conversation moves in that direction, we'll redirect it. And if you have any questions about TIA's antitrust policy, you can always reach out to us about that. The second way that we need you to be in the loop on is how to participate in these live streams. John, Brad, and Dave would love to hear from you guys. So you can drop your questions in the chat in LinkedIn and in YouTube. We'll be monitoring those throughout, and we'll bring those questions towards you, to all of you towards the end of the segment. But before we go to the panelists and I let these guys introduce themselves, I just want to take a moment to recognize today's sponsor, DAT Freight and Analytics. DAT powers the freight industry with the data, insights, and tools brokers need to make smarter decisions, especially in markets like the one we're about to discuss today. We're grateful for their support for the live stream. And with that, I'm going to run a quick commercial, and then, John, we can jump right into it.
Freight isn't static. It's dynamic. It evolves. Today, freight brokers have more on the line, and they need to act faster than ever before. Rates move, capacity shifts, and customer expectations never slow down. That's why, for decades, brokers have trusted DAT. Now, we're evolving to serve you better. We've brought together innovative companies and brilliant minds obsessed with solving broker problems. And we've accelerated how quickly ideas become products, all to create a one-stop shop for trusted capacity, automation, and real-time insights. That means the largest, most secure carrier network in freight. It means full visibility to give your customers peace of mind. It means simplified execution to keep pace with a fast-moving industry, and real-time market insights to anticipate changes before they happen. DAT Freight and Analytics. We take the uncertainty out of freight.
All right, and we're back. So let's get into it. I'm going to hand things over to our moderator for today's conversation, John Sutton with Sunset Transportation. John, it's all yours.
Thanks, JB. We'll be kind of co-moderating this one. We definitely want this to be more of a loose conversation, but to kick it off, I'm John Sutton. I am the vice chair of the TIA Tech Committee. The Technology Committee is one of many subcommittees that supports the larger TIA, and we are on a relentless pursuit this year to be able to empower TIA members with the information and context they need to be able to do more through their tech stack. As part of my day job, I'm the Director of Corporate Strategy for Sunset Transportation, where a large focus of my role is orchestrating technology in order to enable us to be more efficient and to be able to do more. And I'm excited to be joined by two members of the TIA Vendor Advisory Council, the VAC, you may hear it called, in the way of Brad Perling and Dave McCoy from Bitfreighter. Bitfreighter is a quote enablement and EDI automation platform. And both of these gentlemen carry with them a wealth of experience, not just from the broker side, but also a long lifetime of experience from the tech side as well. So Brad, go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Thanks, John. My name is Brad Perling. I'm the CEO and co-founder here at Bitfreighter. My background before Bitfreighter was in brokerage. Got into the industry in 2010. I had an opportunity to help build two brokerages, and then had an opportunity to go and start Bitfreighter, where we help connect logistics companies to shippers with a predictable pricing model, automating the life cycle of a load from quoting all the way through invoicing, ensuring that our customers, as they move more volume through our platform, their price per load goes down. And that has really resonated through the industry over the last 6 years. Excited to have this conversation today about the market and where things are going, what we're seeing. Dave?
Yeah, Dave McCoy, VP of Sales at Bitfreighter. I've been with Bitfreighter since pretty much the start of Bitfreighter. And before that, I spent many years with our fine sponsor for this podcast, DAT. And that was almost like a Super Bowl commercial that I saw there. That was kind of cool. But yeah, I was there for like 13 years. So been a long time in the freight tech space.
Excellent. Thank you, Dave. So we're going to start this off, and Brad, I'm going to toss this one over to you really quick. I'd like to be able to speak to what we're doing present day right now as we navigate what everyone knows to be true. Death, taxes, fuel is up, and trucks are tight right now, I believe. But if you could go way back to when you were actually in the brokerage seat, what would you anticipate that you guys would be doing right now, or just kind of marching orders to the brokers at the desk on how they should be, navigating the day-to-day pricing environment that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think as things tighten, it's really important that you zero in on your capacity and what you can commit to, and also honoring the commitments that you've already committed to. So there's a fine balance there between honoring your commitments through this tightened capacity, but also going and helping your customers with the loads that are now flowing onto the spot market from the contracts that might be failing through their routing guides. So through, when you go into this tighter environment and to the market as it's shifting, it's really important to execute on your commitments. And what that means is, if you're winning spot freight in this environment, they can't have it be, given back to them twice. So that building stronger relationships, and it's a great opportunity for companies to go out there and secure shipper relationships that maybe they've been trying to get in the door with. And that only comes through with making sure that you're executing on those shipments. And honestly, the price becomes so important in understanding what you can do. So things have changed quite a bit drastically from 6 years ago. I didn't have a automated pricing tool to help me. There was lanes that would pop up that we knew exactly that we needed, and we'd frantically try to get our prices on those loads and try to win them. And these days, there's with what we're doing, there's so much more opportunity. So kind of to toss this question back at you, John, in the same line, like what you guys were doing a year ago in 25, where the markets were at then, maybe a little bit softer, and where we're seeing it today, like how is that shifting your current strategy within your operation?
Yeah, I can validate and vindicate a lot of what you just said, that here's what I would probably think we would be doing. And I can even go a little bit further. Every opportunity creates opportunity right now is a big thing that we're looking at, because it's a balance. You use the word balance, which I really like too, between honoring, the contractual commitments that we have, while at the same time recognizing that there is a lot of opportunity in the spot market. And that causes us to put every opportunity under a microscope more than we generally have. Instead of our playbook for how we engage with spot opportunities in an environment where they were sparse, instead of our playbook needing to change every week, every other week, or even every month, about here's how, if I look at the data, I want to see how we're engaging with spot freight. That is now changing every day. sometimes multiple times a day. We even had a conversation this morning that we're going to start sending out both a morning spot forecast and an afternoon spot forecast of how we expect to see our team members engaging with spot opportunities. So at the same time, price is obviously key, not just from a loss prevention scenario, but also the ability to execute scenario too. I know that whenever we were doing our dress rehearsal yesterday, we talked about how terrified we are to win a spot load that doesn't pick up for the next 7 days, just because of how erratic everything genuinely is right now. It's not even day to day, it's hour to hour. So I believe we'll probably touch on some of the more like deeply contextual data points that should be driving the actual number that you're pricing back to the client. But from a macro level, it's a lot of conversation, and it's a lot of making sure that we are all rowing in the same direction, winning as a team and losing as a team, as we look to make sure that we're capitalizing on every opportunity that's being given to us right now, while at the same time making sure that we continue to be resilient on our commitments to our large shipper clients. But the data only tells us so much of what happens within our four walls. And Dave, a little bit of a compromising question for you on this one. So, but given the amount of data that you guys see on your end from a large number of shippers across a large number of brokers, what are some trends or insights that you may have as to any changes in shipper behavior as in the current market that we're in?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're all kind of on the same board where we see a change happening, with fuel up and regulations up and all that, where there is more ending up on the spot market. And yeah, like we sit in kind of this weird space that is really cool, where we get to sit in the middle of logistics providers and their shippers, and we get to see in our platform like live what's going on in the market kind of, and if things are down or things are up. Right now we're seeing just like a really big tick up in spot requests through our platform. And we're seeing a lot of brokers that are signing up, needing to figure out how to capture all this opportunity. And that's where tech can really come in and help you, because like if you know that you have all this spot opportunity with your customers to go participate in that stuff and want to figure out how much opportunity really is out there, it's hard to do that without some sort of platform to help you. And when you have a platform like ours that allows you to see all these different spot boards that you have access to through whatever customer you're working with, and being able to take a platform and plug it into all of those spot boards and let all that stuff flow in, that alone right there just lets you see like the full opportunity that's out there. And from there, you can start to say, like, what do we want to go after? What do we not want to go after? Like John mentioned, the 7-day out pickup stuff. Like maybe you don't want to touch that, and you probably don't. So you want to weed that stuff out. And now you have a platform that allows you to go after exactly what you want to go after and see all the opportunities that are there for you. And you can't really do that just by like logging in and seeing what's there and deciding if you want to bid on it or not. There's no capturing of anything really there, both from like, someone on the floor to someone at the admin or the C-suite level. So
to piggyback on that, John, when was the last time you saw in a single month 27, like I was just looking at real data. It looks to me that there's a 27% jump in volume from March 1st to March 31st, week over week. So we're talking about in a single month growing 27% in spot volume. I mean, I think it's been years since we've seen that.
Yeah. And we are seeing that as well. Our just total Q1, the opportunities that were made available to us from a spot perspective in any, spot board that our customers leverage, comparing Q1 26 to Q4 25, we've observed a 25 to 30% increase and the number of spot opportunities. However, I am a bit pessimistic to say that there's 30% more freight in the marketplace as well. Whenever we think about the external factors that could potentially be contributing that, there are quite a few things that immediately come to mind. I'm going to name off a few, and you guys, fill in the blanks if there's any that I missed. But I think that legitimately the biggest players right now are one, routing guide deterioration, either the rejection of a contractual shipment. I think that two, shallowing of routing guides is also a factor of that as well. Potentially only allowing waterfalls to go to 2 to 3 providers before it's released to the spot board, as compared to going however deep that routing guide is set up as well. So I do think that there's a strong conversion of contract loads effectively becoming direct to spot opportunities. Additionally, for a lot of the shippers that are playing in the real-time rating space, which has became, regardless of, how soft the market has been the past few years, there's continued to be a vehement appetite from shippers to be able to, it's 2026. If I can know how much, a flight's going to cost me at the press of a button, why can't I know how much freight's going to cost me at the press of a button? And that applies to dedicated truckload. I do think that while the shippers that are benefiting from those capabilities, I think that there's also a conscious effort to go direct to spot on some of those loads that they would have previously moved through that layer. And going back to the opportunity creates opportunity topic, I do think that givebacks are also a very important data point. We did a very, ad hoc surface level analysis where we were actually observing in some scenarios the same load going to spot 4 or 5 times over the course of 2 days. So while I think that while the number of opportunities being made available to bid on can be up 25 to 30%, the number of unique loads is actually potentially flat year over year. Maybe if it's one direction, it's just a little bit up. But we have so many external factors at play that are making it feel like we're in this really pressurized environment, when in reality, there's so much stuff out of our control making it feel that way. Between the exit of capacity, correct me if I'm wrong on this, Ritchie Brothers having the best single Class 8 auction month all time in January 2026. Our good friends at DAT, Dean Croak, that's a big data point that they look at as Class 8 auctions to understand how much capacity is leaving the market at any given time, whatever the exit of that capacity may be, along with just general regulatory pressure as well. So I think that those are kind of the data points that are going into this perfect storm of what is creating this, constant, I walk in the door at 7 a.m. and I'm in fight or flight mode on how I'm going to support my customer spot freight for the day. What, if any, do you guys feel like I may have missed on that?
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of seeing the same things too. And like you mentioned, like repeat lanes, repeat requests, like we've actually had to put some stuff in our tool to monitor that kind of thing and segregate it out. So like, and again, I'm not trying to like sell on the tech here, but like it really is important because you can do things with the tech to be able to do that kind of thing. If it's the same request and you're just like almost given benchmarking, then you're not going to be able to like see that sort of thing just logging into the platforms. Like whenever you attach a tool to it to start pulling that stuff in and how that tool is deciding, this is a repeat, and you can place rules around that, then that keeps you safe.
Yeah. John, you touched on givebacks. We are seeing this at an alarming rate, and we actually had to built a feature into Bitfreighter called opportunities. Mm-hmm. And the opportunities are now an opportunity within a single load. And how many times has that been awarded and then reopened, the same load? And in Bitfreighter, you can see that happening 3 or 4 times. And so that concept of give backs and the concept of, accepting a load at a certain price, not being able to cover it, and then letting your shipper know so that they can maybe go find another carrier to cover it. We are tracking that. So that actually gives that insight into like, all right, well, how many times is this should I flag this load as a potential risk? Because if it's been given back several times, why is that?
And Brad punching the shark on the nose here, and you can be brutally honest with your answer, please. Does tech in particular, tech that enables for rate guidance, does it create more value in a tight or a pressured market like we're in, or in a more cost-driven market as we were previously in?
Yeah, I mean, the value is getting to all the opportunities fast, right? And we're seeing clients make more money in this market than they've ever had in the past, and that is the trailing indicator, right? Or the leading indicator on where the value actually is. It's about making money in the ROI with the tool. And in the last 3 months, we've seen many customers make the most money they've ever made through the tool in this market. And there's a strategy behind it. You can't price everything. Like Dave was saying, you have to make sure that you're targeting the right loads and targeting them fast, because ultimately the load coordinator, there's a human behind that load at your shipper, and you're trying to make their job easier. And so in order to make their job easier, their job isn't just to cover freight. That is one component of their job. And so if they're all day long trying to cover their loads and sitting there all day long, and so if you can send them a quote in real time so that they can take care of 10 loads and then move on to the next thing, you're making their job easier. And on top of that, if you can execute those 10 loads and they know that they have confidence in sending you that freight, you're going to get it at a higher margin, because they can't afford to go back and have to, cover these at 3 p.m. So I think ultimately what we're seeing, the amount of people signing up for the tool, but the amount of customers that believed in the tool 3 years ago, shout out to John Sutton and his foresights and his vision, like they're now just capitalizing on being able to get to the right freight and move more loads through the platform.
Yeah, and I think that the quote automation segment in general, I think that while it may have been easier to implement, a rate intelligence, rate automation provider in recent years, just because pricing strategy was very straightforward, market rates were very predictable. I think that at the same time, there's more value in implementing a tool like that in the current market that we're in, given the surge in legitimate opportunities that you stand to win. And giving credence a little bit to kind of what you asserted, Brad, on speed, I'll go as far to say speed kills, especially in the scenario of a give back. Get this thing away from me is kind of, the approach. They're already mad at that load. They don't want to see it sit on the board longer than it already has. Very frequently, that load will hit the board and be awarded in just a matter of minutes before potentially someone at a desk has had an opportunity to engage with it. And that's a direction that I can send you to see the space to evolve. I know that, transportation, we evolve slower than the IRS somehow in how we go about our business. But at the end of the day, we're still evolving one way or another. And I can't remember who it was. I'm terribly sorry. But if you're listening, please take credit for that. But the question gets asked in the current climate right now, and from, 3 options. Who do you think is going to be capitalizing the most on opportunity right now? Just a person, just tech, or a combination of a feedback loop of people and tech? Regardless of how that looks, whether that's just a person that is empowered by the data points that the tech is able to collect, even if it's not doing the work, or it's a person that is really pushing for 90% automation and they take care of the high exception rates. Either way, and everything in between, that's likely a better strategy right now than just tech or just a person here. So I don't know what if there's anything that you guys are seeing on your end from what the overall winning strategy is, or even if the concept of just having a strategy at all is a winning strategy right now.
Yeah, maybe that. Like we got into this automated quoting thing, thinking just that, like all tech essentially. Like you build, the structure around it and let it just spray and pray kind of thing, and cast a wide net. And we have like over the past couple of years, like really stepped back from that and introducing a human in the loop and letting you take off with our system on, just bare bones pulling stuff in and bidding out of our platform manually, and letting those people make those decisions, to placing rules around it and penciling it in to let tech get you 90% of the way, but still having the human eyes to determine, like, can I add some cheddar to this guy before I actually submit it, kind of stuff. And so now that like the tool has become this full-fledged, it can be anything you want it to be, human in the loop, total automation, however you want to use it thing. That is what we're really seeing, is like a really cool blend of people picking this thing up and putting tech in a place where it can get these people like right at the last stage and let them make the final decision, which allows you to weed the stuff out you don't want, allow you to see all the opportunities, allow you to go after exactly what you want to go after, but still getting those eyeballs on it before you go ahead and submit it, knowing that this is what you want to do.
Yeah. And have you heard, Brad or Dave, have you heard from any of your customers which data points have arguably became more important than they were maybe end of last year, a year ago from today, as it pertains to making sure that they're delivering a cost on an opportunity that they can stand behind and be confident that they have quoted that load in a way that not only gives them a chance to win it, but also in a manner that gives them the confidence that they're going to be able to execute it?
I feel like what we've heard lately is expedited loads, team loads, things that feel like they're very urgent, making sure that those types of conditions are built into the orchestration platform. But I mean, there's a wide range of different data points that people are leveraging, also their win losses. And that's something I wanted to touch on is, John, what are you seeing as like signals from your quoting data to be able to allow your desk level operators to just be able to make game time decisions and implement that strategy on their side?
Yeah, so win-loss is very important to us, but not in the manner that you would think. We recognize that there's a lot of opportunity out there, and we're actually coaching our team members into setting daily engagement expectations. We know that this client on any given day has X number of loads. You need to be engaging with Y% of them, 50%, 75%. You're going to have, right now, it does you a lot of service to be a friendly face. It gives them a lot of confidence whenever they see, regardless of if you're the best bid or not, it gives them confidence to see that Sunset is there for you on a load. And from a win-loss perspective, you may have been winning this load twice a week for the past year, but the only thing that matters is the last time that you moved that load. All of our history from the past three or so years is completely out the window right now as it pertains to rate guidance. We are looking more into short-term rates, 7-day rates, and we are looking more into actually predictive rates than we have historically right now, given just the turbulence and knowing that yesterday's price was not today's price. So use managing wins and losses as a way to coach yourself into forcing to getting comfortable in this environment and not being picky with the opportunities that come your way for the most part. There is such thing as a bad load. I know that a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I do believe that there is such thing as a bad load. But John, there's only such thing as a bad price. Right now, there is such thing as a bad load. That load that has been given back 4 or 5 times, regardless of price, is potentially a bad load. I promise. But yesterday is all the history that you need right now, is what we're trying to coach and instill into our team members as to how they should be driving strategy today for all of the ad hoc opportunities that they're engaging with. So, gentlemen, I wanted to thank you again for making the time for me, the tech committee, the TIA, and all of its great members. It's exciting to see where we're going to be able to go with content this year with members of the TIA Vendor Advisory Council. And we're going to turn it back over to JB with the TIA to take us home.
Thanks, John. Thanks, guys. We've got a couple of questions that have come in from the audience. So the first one, and I don't know who wants to field these, so you guys can.
I think you've got it, JB. Go for it.
For the brokers watching right now who are feeling the margin squeeze the hardest, what's the one thing you'd tell them to stop doing immediately that's making their situation worse?
That's a very good question. So if you're feeling the squeeze, I would have to assume that there's a lot of freight under management that you are very staunchly committed to making sure that you service. And you have to remember that doing the right thing is always the right thing, and it always comes back in time. While your margins, maybe going down like a rock, I promise that in any given market shift, there will be an opportunity for them to go up like a rocket. You just have to navigate the troubled waters ahead to the best of your ability. And remember that every day is a new opportunity in what we're going through right now. We're seeing a lot of opportunities in what we call resurrected accounts. These are accounts that have gone more than 90 days without shipping with us that are now once again shipping with us, whether that's 91 days ago or 3 years ago. This conscious decision to move away from you and go to a new provider may have them coming back to you shortly. And then also from an outreach perspective, outreach is extremely successful right now at a much higher rate of being able to potentially get you an opportunity to quote some loads. The chances that you are calling someone on a day that their premier broker just threw a load back at them are higher than they've ever been, and they are willing to give you a chance. So continue to keep the lights on with the business that you have at a profitable rate, and maximize on the opportunities that are guaranteed to come your way in the coming days.
Shippers are shopping right now.
They're not necessarily shopping. I wouldn't feel like I'm in jeopardy of being replaced anywhere, but I do think that the number of brokers that they're willing to work with is likely growing across the board. And you are going to have more competition as a result of current dynamics.
All right. Next question. What's the gut feel indicator that you've learned to trust over the years that no dashboard actually captures?
You know that client better than any robot ever can. At the end of the day, while an executive may have access to data that tells them one thing, you have access to the data that tells you the most. And that's the client sentiment from the last time that you just got off the phone with them and where their head is at day to day navigating this environment. As long as you get off the phone feeling like you are held in great graces on, as you put out fires each day, as you put your cape on and save the day each day on loads that have to go, you should be able to sleep well at night if you felt like you left that phone call in good graces with the shipper. Sorry, Brad, Dave, please chime in.
That's good.
Yeah, I mean, I was leaning more towards, being able to, as you're fielding inbound calls from trucking companies and you're trying to cover freight, you're going to know what the market is faster than anybody. That any dashboard or any analytics company can tell you, because a lot of them are lagging indicators and you're dealing with something in real time. So that's kind of the way when I was in the brokerage seat, lots of data points, but when you're sitting in that seat and you're in the trenches covering loads, you're the closest to what is actually happening.
And if you're an executive listening to this, you have to trust what you're being told as it pertains to what is actually happening. You may not like where performance is, and you may feel like there's opportunity there, But at the end of the day, the people always know better than the tech.
All right. Next question. There's been a lot of conversation in the industry about whether this capacity environment is a temporary cycle or a longer structural shift. Where do each of you land on that? And does your answer change how you're investing in technology and people right now? John, you want to start?
Yes, it's tough because I don't know a gentler way to say here to stay. I think that for the foreseeable future, you have to play with the hand that you're dealt. And I think that if anyone tells you it's going to get better or it's going to get worse, for every person that tells you it's going to get worse, there's also a person that's capable of telling you that it's going to get better. And they're going to have data points that support both of those sides. Right now, my best advice is to wake up and put your pants on both arms at a time like everyone else, because there's a lot of opportunity today and tomorrow, and we're going to continue to address it as it comes up. And we talked about it a little bit earlier in the conversation. I actually believe that implementing tech right now creates more value when implemented on the upswing, whenever you're trying to get your arms around everything, than when it's implemented in the downswing, just because of the sheer amount of opportunity that's immediately available to help you address relative to the lack of volume that's in the marketplace during a dredging market.
Yeah,
I think go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, we're still probably being a little on the cautious side, I think, but also like starting to ride the wave, if you want to put it that way. It does seem like things are a little bit different this time around, but yeah, we're coming from the tech side, and still being a little cautious.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like whenever you see a market shift, like I said, I've been in the freight game since 2010, and the market shifts every 2 to 4 years, it feels like, and whether it's a hurricane or regulations or diesel or whatever it may be. But this time feels a little bit different because you're getting hit from 4 or 5 different angles with different reasons why the market's shifting. So, I mean, I would look at it as an opportunity. And like John said, show up every day, ready to go win the day, and use it as an opportunity to go and create better relationships with your clients and potentially get in the door with some folks that you've been, prospecting for the last couple of years that haven't needed to add any additional capacity. And today, that everybody needs help. And if you're doing a great job in a certain area, those are the areas that you should be screaming the loudest about to go help those folks that might be struggling in certain regions. So I think, I think it's here to stay. At least, I'm not here to predict the future, but, at least for a while.
I do want to talk about predicting the future, though, Brad, a little bit, because we do have the foreseeable future, and day to day, week to week, that what we've got is what we've got. But we had a very engaging discussion recently internally about whether we believe that what we're going through right now resembles what we went through in 2020, 2021, where things tightened in what felt like overnight. And we had a boom for a few months at a time that ultimately resulted in a gold rush of capacity entering the marketplace that was very stubborn to exit over multiple years, creating one of the most deflationary capacity demand environments that we've ever had. And as we spitballed and ping-ponged through that conversation about do we think so or do we not think so, I think that there's one very important trend this time is what we're experiencing isn't necessarily a result of a large increase overnight in consumer demand. Everybody was at home, and if I can't get my dopamine of going out, then I'm going to find a way to get my dopamine staying in and just buying stuff, right? Everybody wanted stuff during the last time that we went through this. And it's a different environment. Consumer demand is nowhere near where it was then. So ultimately, the only thing that is subjective from here is how capacity is going to react to this. And will that same capacity that saw this as a gold rush, that chose COVID as an opportunity to get into over-the-road trucking, are they going to look at potentially rates going crazy again? And how are they going to treat it? Are they going to say, fool me once, won't get fooled again? Or are they going to say, screw it, we'll try this again and get back into the space? I do think that with how many new entrants to the space that got left holding the bag as they tried to get into, the trucking environment whenever rates were at their high, I think they're going to be very reluctant to try that again. I think that we're not going to see a large upswing in new capacity compared to the last few market cycles, COVID included. So I think that we have to treat this as the capacity that we have access to today is the capacity that we're going to have access to for the foreseeable future. And if something happens that causes a spike in demand, then get ready, because this is going to go even crazier. So I can't tell you what comes in between what we've got today and what likely happens in the long term. There will be times where it's bad and there will be times where it's good. But ultimately, at the end of the day, I don't think that we can compare what we're experiencing right now or what will happen once we're on the other side of this compared to what happened once we got to the other side of the COVID rush.
All right, we got one more question here. So for the smaller brokerages watching today who don't have access to the same tech stack or data tools you're describing, what's the most actionable thing they can do with limited resources to stay competitive in this environment?
Not only do you need to be a friendly face whenever you have access to tech, but you need to be the friendliest face whenever you don't. And the power of networking is also extremely important right now as well, because you may, through the power of networking, find that others are playing in this space at much more cost-effective rates or access to these tools than you may have previously thought. This industry is all about who you know, not just from a shipper side and not just from a carrier side, but also from a tech decision-making side as well. There are folks that have been doing this. There are shops that are likely smaller than yours, believe it or not, that are playing in this space and have found a way to do it. And I promise that at the upcoming Capital Ideas event that we've got in Arizona, they will likely be there as well. So shamelessly plugging that and looking forward to hopefully seeing a lot of you there.
And even if you are on the smaller side, I will just say this, if you have access to any spot boards where your customer is putting spot loads for you to go quote on, the tech is affordable for you to plug into that and pull all that stuff in.
Brad, no notes. Perfect answers from both.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I was going through my head about all the things that that question is essentially the whole reason we started Bitfreighter was to lower the entrance and make it affordable for everybody. And those small companies that maybe have never heard of EDI or API quoting, we try to make it as easy and affordable, and there's just so much between the last 6 years of all the freight tech that exists today. It's I was just texting a buddy and he's texting me about all these different TMSs, and I'm like, man, there's just so much opportunity out there for brokers today that there wasn't 6 years ago. So if you haven't gone and explored, and especially Capital Ideas, go have those in-person relationships and conversations. I think that's a great place to go learn about all of what they're asking. So
yeah, our strategy is simple. Good carriers taking good loads from good shippers, supported by good brokers, supported by good tech.
All right, I think we're going to wrap up there. John, Dave, Brad, thank you. Genuinely awesome stuff today, and I think anybody running a brokerage right now walked away with something that they can use right away, right? Another quick thank you to DAT for sponsoring today's live stream. And if you found value in today's conversation, share the replay. There's a lot of people in this industry who need to be having these conversations. And the more we can get this type of content in front of them, the better off we'll all be. We'll have more live streams coming next week, like we always do, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Next week will be totally focused on 2026 Capital Ideas Conference in Phoenix. If you're on the fence about joining us out west, follow us on TIA and on LinkedIn, YouTube, all the different places. Come watch those. Maybe we'll change your mind and you can come join these guys on the screen and me out in Phoenix in a couple of weeks. And with that, thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate it, and we will see you all next time.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, JB.
Thank you.